We back. We back. Open Gym episode. I have no clue. Presented by Mojo Sports Gear. It's me, Rondell, here with T Nesbitt.
Oh, we back?
Ah, snap! I didn't even put it up there. Yeah, we back.
Now we back.
Man, we been back. What are you talking about?
We ain't been back. We back now.
You couldn't see it,
I can't see a lot of things.
bro. We back.
But we back.
We back.
What up, man? How you feeling?
I'm tired. How you feeling though?
I feel good. Good to the mug, boy. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful, lovely, sunny day. Not too hot, not too cold. I'm cool. I'm peachy. I'm real
Peachy.
peachy. Mhm.
That sounded like an old man answer. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Shut your dirty, filthy mouth. I am an old man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, boy.
But yeah, Open Gym episode, let's say 17. We here to talk, NBA. It just finished up right now. LeBron James won his fourth title with his third team. So let's get to recapping these finals.
Well, that's what greatness does. Like, I mean, you're not the king for no reason. You know, you're Bron James. You are the king. You're the man. And I mean, it was expected. Lakers were the heavy favorite all year. You had more contenders this year than most, I think. Especially with the COVID thing happening, you kind of had some contenders that you didn't really take serious. Like, I don't think Denver was taken as serious during the regular season, but I think once the playoffs started to progress, you started to notice, okay, well, Denver's also a championship contender, and you have to be considering that they were in the finals, the Western Conference Finals. But at the same time, I mean, the whole world knew, and until he actually decides, or Father Time decides that it's enough, it's going to continue to be that. You have to get through LeBron one way or another. I said it last week. LeBron, he's not on a team. I know he's won 4 championships with 3 teams and all that. That man's his own team. I get that he won championships with the Miami Heat. That goes to your organization. Cool, sweet. Whoop de doo. Cleveland, goes to your organization. Whoop de doo. LA, goes to your organization. Whoop de doo. But it's his legacy. He's the franchise. You know, it's you put LeBron James. It's like a question: is LeBron James on your team? If it's yes, you have a great chance of making the finals. If LeBron James ain't on your team, well, you might not make it. And that's just the reality. It's been a reality over the last decade. I mean, that's what you do. But for me personally, like I think that these titles, at this point, LeBron's titles are more. I know he said that he wanted his respect. I mean, he's doing more for Dwight Howard's respect by getting this title. He does more for Rondo's respect by getting this title.
I still don't agree with that, man.
I get it, but at the same time, like, do you look at LeBron different today than you did a week ago?
I mean, not really.
That's my point. Do you look at Dwight different than you did?
I mean, but it's like you said, like, well, if you already respect them, then it's still going to be there.
Mhm.
But for the ones who don't, it's kind of not. So the ones in between, I mean, it's more for them than anything.
Well, I mean, I think, and that's to me, that's something I have a huge problem with. I think people look at it like you have to either ride LeBron's jockstrap and be all in. I'm super LeBron, I hate everything else, or you have to be a super LeBron hater and hate everything about the dude. People act like it's not a middle ground, which is exactly why I'm not big on listening to social media logic because that's mainly where it comes from. Is you either have to love the man unconditionally or you have to hate the man to the highest power that you can hate the man.
All right.
There is a middle ground. You know, I'm coming from a perspective that I do have a middle ground with LeBron James. I love to see greatness. I love to see he's a talented individual. I love to watch him when he was with us. I rooted for him when he was with the Cavs. When he's not playing for us, like when it was different. I can say that as a Cavs fan. Like when he played for the Miami Heat, I hated him. I wanted him to lose. I hated him bad because at the end of the day, I feel like there was ways like he jilted us. I felt like, and that's how I started to know social media logic was pretty stupid because the way that they were looking at it was like, well, you're supposed to still love and celebrate this dude for what? You know what I mean? He left our squad. I am a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm going to feel some type of way about the dude. That's when I hated him. He came back, made up for it. There at that point, You could have went to Acapulco for all I care. Play basketball wherever your heart desires, my friend. You got us a championship ring. That's all we wanted. You made a promise. You kept it. Do your thing.
All right.
But that starts the indifferent thing because you're watching the game as a fan. I'm not rooting for anything of LeBron James that doesn't consider wearing wine and gold. You're no longer a part of my team. That's why I hate that logic because now I'm supposed to root for this dude because he plays for the Lakers and he's from Ohio. Well, if Ohio means so much to you, why ain't you a fan of the Cavs? That's the logic that sounds dumb to me because that's what people will bring to you. Well, he's from Akron. He's an Ohio native. You should root for him. Root for the Browns then. Root for the Bengals. Root for freaking Akron Zips if it's all like that. Nah, you want to root for LeBron James because he's a bad mamma jamma. That's why. So it's to me, that's the middle ground is there because, like I said, I got to watch greatness. That's what you want to see. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to not even just him. Jimmy Butler played great. Even though he lost, that's greatness. That's watching greatness play. So as far as a fan, you loved it. But as a Cavs fan, I'm more like, let's get to next season. That season's over. It's over and done with. It should have been over and done with months ago.
To next season.
Let's do it.
You sure you want to get to next season?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm a Cavs fan too, but I'm not.
I mean, at the
I'm
end of
not
the day,
looking forward to it.
this is sports though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I could and you could easily say, like most people, like a lot of people do, I'm a LeBron James fan, so wherever he goes, I'm gonna go. Well, what's the point? Like 2016 doesn't mean as much to you if you were a Heat fan before that.
All right.
2016 didn't mean much to you if you're a Laker fan now. 2016 meant everything if you're a Cavs fan because you go through the ups and downs, and that's what being a fan is about.
Right.
I think nowadays people forget what it's like to be a fan. It's actually going through the ups and downs of your team.
But I mean, being a Cavs fan, like looking forward to next season. What is there really to look forward to?
Development.
I mean, it's a small development at that.
It is, but at the same time, everybody can't win a title either. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's if you're like me, I like to build things from the ground up. Like if I'm a person that I'll pick up NBA 2K and I'll pick the worst team and I'll try to make trades and I'll try to I want to build them up. That's why I enjoy seeing my team and rooting for my team because that's something we're not going to always be good.
Right.
It is what it is. So once that happens, now I can pay more attention to the college
Well,
process.
to be honest, I don't get how people can hate LeBron because he technically does that in a way.
Technically, what does what?
Like he goes to teams that haven't been good. Like he went to Miami. Miami ain't won a playoff game in like what? How long before he went there?
A couple years, but
He went to LA. It's been 5 years since they were good. Like
those are skewed though.
come
Like
on now. He built it from the ground up in a way.
no, Miami was playoff ish kind of team before LeBron got there.
Yeah, but they weren't serious contenders.
No, but they weren't too far removed from it either.
Right.
LeBron got there in 2010. He won the title in 06.
I mean, that's like 4 years though.
Yeah, but it's not 58 years when you talk about Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Like that champagne tastes a lot different when you go 58 years and not have any semblance of a title.
Yeah, like no, I get that, but I'm just saying like when it comes to a legacy move, right? You can't really say he never built teams up from the ground up.
He didn't.
What do you mean?
He did. I wouldn't say
he literally turns teams around.
Well, Miami, that was Chris Bosh. Wade was already there, so you already have a top 10-ish player.
All right,
at
but
that time.
LA, he literally turned LA around.
LA's a whole different. It's a whole different entity.
I mean, he turned Cleveland around the first time around.
Yeah,
demolished it, leaving, and they came back and turned it around again.
Now I'll give you more credit for the Cleveland situation because at the end of the day, that was a team that was built for LeBron and by LeBron. But at the same time, I think LeBron doesn't take some of the blame that comes with it too, though. Right. I think a lot of those moves that destroyed the cap, those are moves he wanted. The Larry Hughes's, the Ben Wallace's of the world, those are moves he wanted. Then I'm out of here. And then you can blame everybody else. But that, again, that's where context matters to me because, yeah, you're the king. You've done great things, dope things, and that needs to be celebrated. But that's where context comes into play. That's why it can't be black or white. Either you love or hate this dude, because once you start to love him so much, you start to look past all the BS that he pulled. Once you hate him, you look past all the good things that he done. You know what I'm saying? You see people when they try to make a case for why you should root for LeBron. Well, look what he's done in Akron schools and all that. What does that have to do with basketball?
I mean, it has to do with his legacy, though. At the end of the day,
Not necessarily. Your legacies have to do with what you do in the
I
basketball
mean,
court.
what he does on the basketball court is amazing, but as just a man in whole, he's done way more. He's more than just a basketball player, so that plays into his legacy also.
But that's not going to make me root for you more on the basketball court. Like, I'm not going to see
Yeah.
LeBron James face off against my Cavs and say,
I
well,
mean,
he built Akron School, so I
It,
want
it
him to
won't
win.
make you, but there's someone out there who don't know LeBron for what he does on the court, but they could know what he does off the court. Now they want to see what he does on the court.
If you don't know what LeBron James does on the court by this point in time, I don't know what you've been watching. Like,
I mean, look,
it
not everyone watch sports, you know.
I get that, but then if you like him for the way his social messages and all and all that, that's a
Right.
whole different conversation. That's what makes that man a great person. On a basketball level, there's things that he's done that absolutely dope. But there's things that he's done that you're gonna look at and be like, well, that was woozy. Or why do you know what I'm saying? Like you have too much of a say with the way the game goes for you, which that's gonna knock you a couple points. Again, we talked about this last week, why I have Jordan ahead of him, because Jordan was the competitor. You're gonna look at Jordan's era, and what makes Jordan so dope is the people that didn't get rings. Well, that's what competition is about. The people who don't get rings, I made sure you didn't get them. That's what's dope about Jordan. LeBron's legacy, you look at it, almost everybody gets a ring around his time. Right?
I mean, he made sure a lot of people didn't get rings at the same time.
That's not
Well,
competitive. You know what
I
I'm saying?
wouldn't
Like,
say he made a lot of people because eventually they did get rings, but like he did stop some teams from getting rings.
he did, but at the same time, you look at some of those teams, they're over there on his roster now. Like, so it's
And I mean,
he shows a lot of love, but that's what makes him his separate type of dope. If
Right.
that's what you're into. But at the same time, I'm a competitor that's into taking food out of other people's mouths. That's
But-
what makes sports to me.
I mean, technically, you could say he did take food out of other people's mouths for those 8-9 years that he dominated the East.
I mean,
Like, come on, it was all him in the finals of the East.
it was, but at the same time, the competition level wasn't. And this is saying it being a Cavs fan, this is where we were getting
Right.
the benefit of that. But at the same time, like, and to me, that's just being fair. Yeah, I love winning the championship. I loved how how we did it, whatever. But at the same time, he still decided who he was going to play with, how he was going to play with it. We benefited. Like Kevin Love is what Anthony Davis is this year, not as far as talent level, but when LeBron James came to Cleveland, we acquired Kevin Love because he was unhappy. It worked out, for our benefits.
Right.
Anthony Davis did the same exact thing. It worked out for their benefit. But at the same time, that's what you have to knock him a little bit because he dictates a lot of how he gets to do things that he wants to do. Michael Jordan did not. So when you come talking to me about who's better, LeBron James or Michael Jordan, I'm going to always say Jordan because it was the competitive edge. That's what's the difference. It's not being able to dictate how I'm going to get there. Jordan was getting knocked down, punched in the mouth, beat up, and then said, I'm coming back for you. I'm going to beat you with my guys. Forget all this mambo jumbo. I'm going to come back with the same squad, and we're going to end up doing this because that's what I do. That's what we do. That's what makes me the GOAT.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. The way you put it like that, I'm looking at LeBron like an evil genius. Like he's playing chess. Like you saying he's dictating. Like he's moving pieces around. He's playing chess to get a ring. Now it's not always been successful.
No.
Because that competitive drive always kicks in, and there's always a team better. Like this is the first finals he's really been a favorite, right?
This one, and I would say the Thunder one, he was a favorite, and I would say the Spurs, they were favorites. It was just more so even.
Like this is most lopsided favorite, right?
Pretty much.
So, but at the end of the day, if you're saying he dictated, he's being like a general. What he is, he's a floor general.
Well, I mean,
And he's
that
playing chess.
in a way, but at the same time, like you're a player.
Right.
Be a player. A big part of being an athlete and figuring it out is I don't know what challenges I have ahead, but I'm going to be ready for those challenges. And I'm going to be able to do what I need to do to get past those challenges. Not I'm eliminating challenges. I'm making it easier for me each
Right.
and every time. Like at some point in time, you have to challenge yourself. It's just to me, I think the best thing to help LeBron James out in the long run was Kevin Durant and doing what he did. Because again, this is the generation that we live in where you can do something clownish or you can do something whack. Because there's going to always be somebody else behind you that's going to do something equally as whack, and then they're going to try to justify it by saying, "Well, you did it first," and that's what ended up catching up with LeBron James. It was he set the tone for hopping on, whatever squad and linking up with your boys and doing all that. It's just that Kevin Durant so happened to one up him to the point that now I have to kind of reset everything. I have to go out west, and that that's a hidden thing too. The people want to say, "Well, Cleveland, they didn't do what they needed to do." Blah 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 blah. Skip. Well, his first year in LA, they didn't make the playoffs. I get that he was hurt. I get that his team was young. All that, but you want to beat down the horse when it comes to Cleveland, but when it comes to LA, oh well, it happens. LA, they'll be back. Yeah, sure, but they had to do Anthony Davis situation. He had to be up under that same umbrella. They had the same agent. Like all these background workings ended up getting him that championship. Where at the end of the day, it's I played like at the first 7 years of LeBron's career, you can say, well, his teammates suck. Yes, absolutely. But from year 7 all the way up until today, he's going to probably have the best cast of teammates that you could ever have.
I mean, to be honest, it's kind of like how Mayweather went from actually boxing to just going for the money. Like he literally said, like as much as he loved the sport of boxing, it's all about the money because at the end of the day, that's not gonna get you anywhere.
Absolutely.
So it's like LeBron after those 7 years, he had to look at it and be like, I'm the only one that's gonna get me a ring, so I gotta dictate how I do it. So why not dictate it when you the smartest one in the room at times?
Not necessarily, because to me, if you want to say that, then do everything you could have done in Cleveland. I think that.
But I mean, no one was coming.
That's people came to Cleveland the second time, didn't they?
That's different. At that time, he was a winner though.
But people would have came to Cleveland if you bought in. Like LeBron was already 1 foot out the door. There was 3 years left on his contract. You're already here in New York, LA, whatever. He's leaving Cleveland. He did nothing to quell that. He didn't do nothing to really recruit the players that he wanted and needed. He had his couple times, and that's where he got you a Larry Hughes. That's where he got you a Ben Wallace. That's when he got you a Donyell Marshall and Damon Jones and all those guys. That was the LeBron GM time frame. So if you want to say, well, LeBron James ended up getting you Kevin Love and whatever, and Anthony Davis, whatever, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, yeah, that's on his record. But what's also on his record is Dante Jones. I mean, not Dante Jones, Damon Jones, Donyell Marshall, Larry Hughes. Those are all GM moves that LeBron wanted himself. So you can't do that. It blows up, and then you say, well, it was Cleveland's fault. No, my friend, it was also LeBron James' fault. But Cleveland gets the blood of that blame just because it's the narrative. This is how they want to spin it. This is how it wants to look because, well, LeBron James didn't have the talent. LeBron James also picked his talent. Then you go to Miami, look at the talent that's compared to Cleveland. Of course, that talent's a whole lot better. And there was cap space that was pretty much non-existent when he went over to Miami. If LeBron James would have wanted to do that in Cleveland, Cleveland would have did that. He just didn't buy all the way in. It was the second time that he bought all the way in. That's how he ended up getting the ring because he made it appealing. LeBron James could have always done that. But this is the era of I can point the blame to somebody else. So to me, it's just I like to provide context. So this is again why it's not cut or dry, black or white, whether you either love the dude or hate the dude. I love LeBron James' talent. I just don't love everything he's done. I'm not one of those people that's going to say that you're right about everything that you do just because I like you. I feel like personally, if you like somebody, you should be able to tell them, well, that was pretty whack. That's dumb, or that's what I'm saying, that's crazy talk. And that's just the thing with LeBron. He's still great. I still give him all the credit because to me, take everything out of it, this is one of the hardest championships to get because the mentality that it does to you. You know what I'm saying? Like for them, that's 3 months away from your family and friends and life for real. That's 3 months away from every semblance of normalcy that you done had. You have to lock in and focus. And as you can see in LA, and the other LA team, they couldn't do that. Paul George couldn't do that. His mental was all the way bad. So for LeBron to be able to lock in and carry his team to a championship, like that's what makes him dope. And you do have to give credit for him getting 3 different teams championships, but at the same time, like that has to be provided with context. So I mean, bravo for him. I congratulate him. Shout out to LA Nation. It's even doper that they got one for Kobe. Even though, I mean, it's it's an unfortunate situation because I mean,
Right.
you can ask every last player on that team. They didn't want to win one for Kobe because that means Kobe had to die to get. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
the fact that they went in there with a mission, they completed that mission, they did what they need to do. That was dope to me. So I mean,
Yeah, it would have been
kudos.
doper if they did it in his jerseys, but we all know what happened there.
Well, I mean, you gotta have that killer instinct in that Mamba jersey, and at that point in time, they didn't have that killer instinct. So I mean, it is what it is. They champions today, so
I'm just saying he was looking scared when they came out that huddle.
scared money don't make no money.
That's why he getting traded this all season.
No good.
But to finish it off, all right. So he's 4 championships, 4 MVPs, 4 finals MVPs. That's been done before, right? I'm pretty sure that's been done before. Doesn't Jordan have? I mean,
I think Jordan. Yeah, Jordan's done it, but I don't think like LeBron's the first one to do it on 3 different teams.
yeah, he's the first one to do it on 3 different teams. But I mean, that's been done before. I don't. So it doesn't really add to his. I mean, other than the 3 different teams, it doesn't really add to his.
To me, that's and like I said last week,
Legacy.
that's the difference between him and Jordan. Like Jordan has the 6-0 finals record that you can't say nothing about. You can't touch it. It is what it is. It's done for. That's his claim to fame. But Jordan didn't play on 3 different teams and win championships on 3 different, rosters completely. So that's what gives LeBron that edge where if you want to put him at your GOAT, I don't think it's outlandish. If you think LeBron James is the greatest of all time, it ain't outlandish to think that.
Right.
It's just that one thing that for me personally, I just put competition ahead of everything because that's what basketball is. You are playing the game to compete. There is a winner and a loser. There will never be a tie in basketball. This ain't football, buddy. There will
crazy.
be a winner and a loser. So, from the competitive aspect, I look at the player that takes away from people than gives to people. So, I mean, it's more so the fact that he was able to come on 3 different teams and do it his way. And never mind that fact, dude's 35 years old. Year 17.
Still best player on the floor.
That's not supposed to be done. That's what, what I'm saying? Like, it adds to his legacy somewhat, but at the same time, LeBron's to the point with his greatness that you kind of know this already.
Right.
That's why I think it adds more to everybody else's because I don't know with Anthony Davis, can he be a championship winner? Now I do. I didn't know with Dwight Howard, can he win a championship? Now I do. Can Rondo win another one years and years later? Well, now I do. So these legacies, they impact more because LeBron James' legacy was already etched in stone. You already knew what it was. You already know what it's going to be. If LeBron James wins 5 more championships, then we can talk. But as of right now, he's still below Kobe. He's still below Jordan. So until he gets past that, that's what starts a whole nother conversation. But 4 and 6 ain't gonna do it for me yet. You know what I'm saying? Like,
let's say he ends up 7 and 6, then he the GOAT.
I still wouldn't say it just because again, he would be doing it this way.
So real quick, what dictates the GOAT to you? At least is it the number of championships? Because I see a lot of people on like Twitter.
It's context.
They all go in on that. So context to you. So you'll take like the 6-0 Jordan over like what was Bill Russell's 11 and something?
I think Bill Russell may have lost 1.
Like so it's like 11 and 1. You'll take that.
Yeah, because context. Bill Russell played in the league when there was like 8 teams. So
I mean, he also had to play against Wilt.
Yeah, but he had the best teams every time. So there goes context. That's why his rings aren't look like Jordan's rings because Jordan's rings are more respected. That's why Kevin Durant's rings, depending on who you look at, like if you talk to somebody about Kevin Durant, they're going to give you a million excuses. Kevin Durant's still trying to justify the titles because he know in his heart they ain't real. They really didn't have to compete about them. That's where the context come in. Jordan, you watch him compete. And then the Last Dance and brought even more context into what he was dealing with. So I think for me, more than
you can also argue that he won against Asian teams.
Who? Jordan?
Yeah.
Jordan
That
won.
First ring was what against the Lakers? They were old.
Yeah, But at the same time, it's who are you playing to get there? The golden age of players that aren't, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna play Patrick Ewing in the finals because you play in the Eastern Conference, but you're still beating Patrick Ewing to get there. That counts on your legacy, opposed to Jordan saying, "Okay, Pat Ewing, I done beat you for 10 years. Come on over here and get a ring with me." That's the stuff that LeBron does. So it's like, as a competitive,
but I mean, LeBron never had to go against D Wade. Like the people that he went against in the Eastern Conference Finals, he never played against.
Well, that's because
he never played with.
At a certain point, LeBron had Boston. He was never going to be able to play with them because they were old and they were pretty much out the door when it came around to it. But again, it goes patience because Boston would have been done, Cleveland would have came up. They let Orlando beat them. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron James led team.
Actually, if anything, I think Dwight's the first player he's played that he's lost to in, like, what he lost to, the semifinals?
Well, Rondo, that counts too.
I forgot Rondo.
Danny Green, technically. I mean, they're not stars, no, but they're still players that he helped get a ring. But again, that's why it helps their legacy more. Like JaVale McGee has 3 championship rings. You know what I'm saying? Like that, Deion Doodle Face Waiters has a championship ring now because if LeBron James has a claim to being the GOAT, that's the first thing I'm pointing to. Look who wearing the ring now is Deion Waiters.
Deion Waiters.
Enough said.
Who else got a ring?
I'm a bad boy.
GOAT Alex Caruso got a ring.
Alex Caruso was gonna get one regardless. Like I feel like Alex Caruso is one of those guys that you win with. Period. Like I think Alex Caruso might end up with 5 rings by the time his career's said and done because he's a guy that he competes. That's the type of dudes I love. You know what I'm saying? Like Alex Caruso ain't picking and choosing every destination. He probably will now, but Alex Caruso ain't picking his teammates like that. He's a competitor. He goes out there and competes. I can respect that. J.R. Smith now has 2 rings. You know what I'm saying? Like he did next to nothing, but it helps his legacy because now with 2
rings before Carmelo got 1.
That
hurts.
LeBron ain't real, man. He didn't get Melo a ring. He could have been helped Melo out.
That's his best friend. He could have got him a ring. That's crazy too.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, but you know, shout out at the end of the day, shout out to the king. He is the king.
Yes, sir.
His 35 is a lot different than my 35.
Not the same age.
Yeah, came out the same year. Everything. Everything. So from that standpoint, I'm proud to see it. But at the same time, that's again, he grows up around the same era that I grow up at. So you grew to love the game the same reason, the same why. Competition, the barbershop conversations, doing it the right way. Some of those things he did, some of them he didn't. So I
was gonna go to commercial break, but you just brought that up. I mean, like he had a little interview where he said, he talked about how much he loved Jordan. He wears 23 because of Jordan, and he'll debate with his friends and people in private about that conversation. But he'll lead the debating up to people like us.
Yeah, because he's tired of it, just like I'm tired of it. I'm tired of that.
I've been tired of that. Which another thing, I forgot who compared. I think it was Chris Broussard said, no, someone. I wasn't Colin. I don't remember, but someone said MJ's a better Kobe and LeBron's a better Magic. You agree with that? I forgot to put that on the rundown.
I mean, technically, but MJ came before Kobe, so I was a better Kobe.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, like the game was so simple. Like just like LeBron, Kobe loved Jordan.
Well, Kobe modeled his game after Jordan,
right?
So I mean, Jordan. Kobe was always Jordan light,
right?
You know, so I mean,
but he can never do it as well as Jordan could.
No.
So I mean, I get how it's like, how could he be the better Kobe? But like, I kind of get. I get the comparison, but I kind of get how you like. How could he if he came before?
Yeah, he's just. I mean,
right.
Jordan was. There's plenty of people that try to emulate Jordan, but I mean, Jordan has something that talent can't buy. It's a competitive drive. You have to be obsessive about that kind of stuff, and Jordan was. You know, I don't think LeBron is. You know, it's he wants to do it his way, which it's cool. There's more than one way to skin a cat, but it's just a personal preference. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's so country. So more than one way to skin a cat.
Hey, versatile.
All right. Well, we about to go on commercial. When we come back, we're going to talk about the off season and what certain teams should do to, get it moving, get it set. Like Philly, for instance.
Oh,
we'll catch y'all in a minute.
We back.
I'm just gonna steal my. All right, and we back. People just stealing what I say.
I just borrowed it, bro.
Yeah, all right.
We back.
That I'm about to trademark that. Yeah, forget Chance the Rapper.
Trademark, we back.
Yes, sir. We back. We back. All right, now we about to talk some. The why am I can't even think. We about to talk off season. All right, I'm so tired. So, what team you want to start with first?
Well, we start with the champs.
Champs.
Yeah, might as well.
L.A. Lakers. Let's go.
I think they have one humongous question because again, we don't know what these players' mentality is. We don't know what their mindset be. So, Anthony Davis, what are you gonna do?
I mean, I thought he said he was already gonna sign.
No, he didn't say anything like that. He said he didn't really think about it at this point, which is a lie too, because you ain't thought about your next move and the season's about to start.
I could have sworn someone said somewhere that LeBron was still like this. I think he was saying it jokingly, but like if LeBron was still built like this, like if he's still gonna keep going, he's here for the ride.
Well, I mean, he has a valid reason to believe that, at least for the short term. But
Right.
Anthony Davis and LeBron James are at different stages of their career. You may not think so because LeBron James is still playing the way that LeBron James plays, but at the same time, LeBron James is still closer to being outside of that door. So Anthony Davis, he has to look at that because you take LeBron James off the Lakers team and you put Anthony Davis there, you just put Gordon Hayward on that squad. Are they a championship contender? Not at all. How long are you going to have with LeBron James on that roster? So if you're Anthony Davis, maybe I want to come back for another year and defend our title, but that does nothing for the long term. So I think personally, I think he comes back to LA. That's not where the intrigue comes at. I think the real intrigue comes at how long does he sign? Because if he does to LeBron what LeBron has continuously done to organizations and franchises, he'll play it by ear. But Anthony Davis is another dude that you kind of have to be weary with that because one thing about LeBron is he's pretty much indestructible. That man hardly misses games. Like the year before when he sat out all that time, I still think he could have played. He just looked at the situation in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely could have played. It's like Rondo said, his body language was different.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that if Anthony Davis kind of wants to hamstring the roster, he can do something like that. Like he can kind of back up and play year by year. But I think that with his injury history, he has to kind of be careful about that because
I mean, he just won the championship on an injured ankle, so
that can be pause for a cause.
Right.
That can tell him sign for 5 years, get the max amount of dollars, long term, whoop de whoop, be a Laker for life. Or that can tell him I need to be year by year, check case by case, and see if this is really what I want to do. Because once LeBron leaves, you have to be able to show and prove to me without all this extra stuff now. Because let's not forget, everything was given up to get AD.
Right.
So you have to prove to me that you can give up everything and you can still be able to field a competitive enough roster that we can compete for years and years to come and not waste my prime years like they were wasted in New Orleans. So he's going to have the decision to make. Also, every time a champion is crowned, other decisions are made. Some players are getting, you're going to get overrated or you're going to get priced out of their price range. Alex Caruso might mess around and make $10 million a year every year now. You know what I'm saying? Just because he won a championship. That's something you have to watch out for. Dwight Howard might think, okay, well maybe I have a couple more prime years left. Let me go somewhere else that's gonna pay me a couple more dollars and take it to that next level. You know what I'm saying? So Kyle Kuzma may demand more. Who knows if he demands a trade or something like that? Like there's so many things that you would think, all right, everything locked in, they're gonna be who they're. Avery Bradley, that's another conversation piece. What's gonna happen with him? They can feel like, all right, social justice, I respect it. Stay off, do your own thing. I just seen that he gave like $60,000 to the WNBA or something like that. Don't quote me on the number, but he threw the WNBA some change. So they could support him, or they could say, well, you could have been here with us and you chose not to, so we're gonna move on from you.
I mean, he still get his ring.
Yeah, he do. But what I'm saying is,
it's 30,000. I think
30,000.
Yep.
All that stuff still plays a role, though. You know what I'm saying? So if LA can keep the guys that they had and bring that whole team back, that could be a whole different ball game for them.
Right.
But we'll see how they play it. Again, things happen when you're champions, but these are what I call first world problems I have. You can have problems like the Knicks and still wonder how you're going to get talent in there and with a marginal draft pick. And you don't know what your future will hold, and that's a big market. Or you could be LA.
Seems to be RJ Barrett.
Yeah,
he's a Robin, so he needs a Batman, to be honest.
It's not looking good over there. But
At all.
again, you want these problems to have. And if nothing else, you still have LeBron James locked in for the next couple years.
Yeah,
so,
he got like what, 2 years on
2
his
years
contract?
left on his contract. Yep. So I think that for LA, that's the biggest decision they're going to have to make is do they run it back or do they just call it quits and start something brand new? Because as we've seen with the documentary with the Chicago Bulls, you can still win a championship, and your front office and your general manager and all those people can be looking at blowing the whole thing up. They can be looked at and moving in a different direction, reshaping the team around LeBron James. And you know how LeBron is too. He ain't never going to be stagnant. So let's say it may not even trickle down into the offseason. It may start next season. If they're 11-11, heads are going to roll. Things are going to happen. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see. But I don't see wholesale changes happening for LA unless Anthony Davis does the unthinkable and Bankhead bounces up out of there.
Right.
But I don't see that happening either. So, but again, these players are so fickle, man. Like you never know what's going through their mind. I would have told you Paul George wouldn't have requested a trade last year too. I would have looked at Kawhi and said, well, he won a championship. Why would he want to leave that situation? He runs the country pretty much and come to LA.
I mean, Kawhi's he's a different type of animal.
All these athletes are different though. Like they're different, but they're the same. They're so used to being coddled and kissed up to, and everything's everybody else's fault. And it's never their fault. You never know what come into their mind frame as far as their decision making.
Right.
They don't really think too much long term. So we'll see.
But I mean, coming down to it, Jenny Bus, right? No,
Genie Bus.
Genie. I mean, when you think on it, like, what was it? Not like I said, 5 years ago, it was a bunch of infighting. Now she got a team. She got a leader on that team to actually lead it to a championship. I feel like she'll pay out.
Well, I mean,
pocket for that.
They will, but it depends on how you want to go about it and the rate of the players. Like LeBron James can overrate a player. He can make you the most money. You're more valuable. And trust me, this is coming from watching my team pay Tristan Thompson $20 million a year. I think Tristan Thompson's a $20 million a year player. Not really, but you are what somebody's gonna pay you. If LeBron James is on your roster, he wants you back. You can get that $20 million. JR got 52 from just winning that championship. So that's what I'm saying. That's going to trickle down to LA when you're looking at, well, man, JaVale McGee wants $11 million a year. Well, I'm going to have to say bye-bye to JaVale McGee, but in the grand scheme of things, this hurts my depth. This hurts my, LA was big out there. So those little things start to add up. Now you start to overprice somebody. Now I have to replace him with somebody. I may be able to get another marginal player to get him, or I may not. There's still some questions, but again, you have LeBron James, so it's easier to answer your questions when you have him, and he's shown that he still can play. So I think that they'll still be in good shape. They'll still have a good chance to repeat, but the team just may not look the same as they did this year.
All right. So next team we got is Miami Heat. You thinking they gonna add another piece or?
They're in a tricky spot because Miami is looking at if I keep my core together, which is bringing Goran Dragic back and re-signing I think Jay Crowder's up, just keeping their core together. That takes them out of the 2021 free agency class.
Right.
That class is way better than the one this year. So Miami, they can reasonably say, well, let's run it back. But at the same time, just like LA, the guys that you have up, their contract situation is a lot different than they would have been at the beginning of the summer too, because now you're looking at players that you've seen more of. Miami's players' values as high as it's ever going to be, so they may mess around and out. Goran Dragic may not want to sign a 1 year, $10 million contract. He may want 3 years of 45. Why shouldn't he? He showed his value. Well, now he's going to have to be shown the door because you're overpriced. I want to be able to get a Giannis. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able.
I don't know if they're gonna go for it, Giannis. To be honest,
go for Giannis.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna go for Giannis. To be honest, I mean, as long as they could keep Jimmy, Tyler, Bam, Dragic, who else? Maybe Duncan Robinson. as long as they can keep them, I feel like anyone else on that team is up for grabs at this moment. Like maybe we'll get you back, maybe we won't, but I don't think they're gonna go for like a Giannis in the free agents agency.
It's a debate about it. I just think that, I mean, at the same time, you have your guys too. So it's Dragic brought way more than just the basketball stuff to it. I think that he was a common presence. I think that he was a vet. I think that, he's a he's the type of guy that, and we've seen Kendrick Nunn was a guy that got all the burn. He played a lot of time. He was starting over Dragic. You can't do that with everybody. So I think that kind of mentality is what helps the Miami Heat get to where they got to. So they have to decide again with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, as talented as he is, what he brought most to that Miami team was the leadership stuff, the stuff that you can't really put a price on. So it's just again, it's up to Miami of how they want to be able to maneuver around that cap space. Do they want to look at their team that they have now and say this is a championship contending team as they are? Let's keep bringing this back and let's keep trying to chip away. Or they can say let's prepare for the big fish. We always thought Jimmy Butler was kind of the medium fish to get the big fish anyway. Why go away from that? They can again. You can look at it in one or two ways. You can say, well, we were this close to winning that championship, and we a couple tweaks here from doing it, or we can say we got as far as we were ever going to get. It's time to hit the big fish. You know what I'm saying? And bring somebody in that's going to take us over the top. So
I mean, when it comes down to it, Pat Riley, he's one of the best to do it as a GM. So
yeah, you never know what's coming. So
you never know. So I'm saying they might not go for Giannis, but it's Pat Riley. You never know what he might do.
nothing's ruled out, but this I think you'll know what his intentions are going forward this year. And
Right.
again, it's going to come a lot quicker than you used to because the season just ended. Usually at this point, the season's about to start, so something is just a whole different ball game. So we'll see how that folds out. But all in all, with both of those teams, I still think they're going to be in the same area. Maybe not both in the finals again, but they'll both be competing for a final spot. So,
All right.
I mean, again, those are first world problems I have.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to the young guns and well, both of them are young teams, but let's start with the Nuggets first. They seem to have, for the most part, they seem to have it together.
Yeah,
I don't know if they really need another piece or they just need like another year just to get it together.
well, first things first, they need to figure out what's going to happen with Grant because Grant is one of those guys that
Wait, is he up?
yeah,
Uh,
and he's up to that point where he's about to be paid. So Denver has to figure out is he the perfect guy to be in the middle of Porter and Jokic? Is he that guy, or is he going to be a guy that I'm going to look back at in a couple of years and be like, well, why am I paying this man $15 million to give me 9 points and 4 boards? So it's Denver's going to have to figure out what direction they're going to go in. Do they need other veterans because they're Millsap's up? Do they want to resign him? Do they want to build around a different core of guys? Well, not core guys, but a different bench unit, a different surrounding talent. Because you got Jokic, you got Murray. Both of those guys are locked in long term. You got Michael Porter Jr., who's getting a cheap contract, at least up to this point, for what his production is. So I think with them, it's gonna come down to their trade pieces. Let's not forget Will Barton was a guy that's a huge piece for them that didn't even play in the whole bubble situation at all. So what do they do with him going forward? What do they do with Plumlee going forward? What kind of team are they going to be able to build? And do they get complacent? We talked about before. This could be your max, and you could think, well, last year we made it to the semifinals, Western Conference. This year we made it to the Western Conference Finals. Well, by natural progression, next year we should be in the finals. It don't always work that way.
right.
The Thunder would have
Especially
said
with
the
the
same thing.
West getting harder now. So.
Absolutely. So I think that for Denver, they're going to have to say, what do we have now? What do we want to keep? And how do we want to approach that whole situation? If they can work it out the way that they want to work it out and be able to stay young, because let's not forget they are still young and still be competitive, then I think that's the route they'll do. But I think Denver ultimately they still need another kind of big time talent. Rather, that's Michael Porter Jr. because I personally think that he's on the roster, but they have to trust in him. Michael Porter Jr. his playing time and all that, it fluctuated like that.
I mean, a lot of people compared him to Kuzma at times. Right? At times he has this flash of greatness, and then other times you're just like, what are you doing?
Well, I mean
Like
that's
he's out there
hard.
with terrible IQ.
It's hard to commit to somebody that's not committing to you. You know, so I think like that's especially with a young player that get into your mindset that man, I just played 30 minutes this game. All right, next game I played 11.
Right.
Do you like me or do you not like me? I have to figure this out. That get into your head. Now that you know what I mean, you playing that the same way. This is a different sport, but same concept. I was watching a Monday night game, and they're talking about Justin Herbert and how Anthony Lynn told him that he didn't want him to look over his shoulder. That's going to do wonders for his confidence because he throws an interception. He's not going to turn around and look at that bench. He fumbles the ball, he ain't going to turn around and look at that bench. If he
I mean,
thinks
who's on that bench though?
I mean, it was supposed to be Tyrod Taylor until they tried to kill him. But at the same time, that for a young player, that is a lot for your confidence
Right.
because you couldn't say that to Tyrod Taylor. He wouldn't have said that to Tyrod Taylor because he wants Tyrod Taylor to understand this is what it is. This is what can happen. That's the world we live in. You can still be a professional. Sometimes these players can't be professionals if they feel like their job's on the line. So it's something to be said about never committing to Michael Porter Jr. That's what do wonders for his confidence because it did at the early set of this of the bubble. When he first started playing the bubble, the man was going crazy because they bought in. Then they started losing confidence, but he just kind of disappeared off of it. So we'll see.
So let's talk about the other youngins over in Boston. And what are they gonna be doing? Because I mean, this is what the second year in a row that they get stopped at the Eastern Conference
Yeah.
Finals.
I
Yeah.
personally think they need a big, like a real big. So
I mean, don't they got? No, they don't have Taco. Or
they
do they got
do,
Taco?
but I mean Taco ain't ready yet either. So um I think they just need to swing a trade. Somebody somehow. If I was them, I'd be calling up Indiana to see what's up with Miles Turner because I think he would be a perfect kind of fit for him. It's
You
just
don't think a trade with Denver and Boston would work? Taco for Bobo? Because ain't Bobo still on Denver?
yeah, but you're doing the same thing. You're basically trading one for another. Like they're the same exact type of player, the same projects, the same whatever.
I
Like
mean, Bobo was actually balling in the bubble
yeah,
before he
but
got benched.
it's the difference between balling in a bubble and being your long term championship
Right.
contender and starting center. So I think that Boston they need to get to a point where they have a championship contender starting center, and they need to figure out that starting lineup a little bit. Like Jason Tatum's gonna be in it. Jaylen Brown's gonna be in it. Kimba's gonna be in it. What are we doing with Gordon Hayward? What are you doing with Marcus Smart? What are we doing with the whole squad period? Because that's going to dictate how they're going to go about it. Like if Gordon Hayward is your sixth man and that's how you keep it, you know what's happening with him. Gordon Hayward ends up being on the bench after he inevitably gets hurt. Then Marcus Smart has to scoot up. Well, maybe Marcus Smart's better as your sixth man, or whatever. You have to figure that roster out. And I think that for them, that's what it's going to be because they have the perimeter guys. I just think that they need to figure out their big guys, and Kimba's going to have to take that next step. Like I think Kimba's on that train where I wasn't making the playoffs, I wasn't a big time player for whatever reason, whatever. Now I'm in a winning situation. I have to be that, not necessarily Yukon Kimba, but that level of a leader that takes you to that next level. I think Kimba kind of disappeared in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that can't happen if you want to be a champion in Boston.
I mean, that's his first time in the Eastern Conference Finals, so.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. When you have to take it to that next level,
Right.
because this first time could be a burp. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You're not used to this kind of situation. You got farther than you ever went before. You weren't going to, Rome wasn't built in a day. I get that, but now this next year, it's time to take off because
Right.
unlike the rest of your young squad, Kim ain't got all day. They got to win now. So you have to figure that one out. But I think the same thing with every last one of these things we talked about is I think they'll be back. It's just a couple tweaks here and there. Even with LA, you're going to have to tweak something because you can't bring that same exact team back and expect to compete because teams are going to get better. Golden State will be back. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that may or may not affect LA, but you have to keep that in mind. So it's a lot to figure out, but this is definitely the offseason of tweaks. Unless something big happens, which you never know. There's always a big player here or there that requests a trade. But for the most part, I mean, I think these teams just need to stand back and tweak.
All right, so two teams that kind of don't have it together. So we're gonna talk about Philadelphia first. They just got their coach, but they don't seem to have it together at all. And it seems to boil down to their two stars, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. So, what do you think their moves are going to be? Are they going to continue to build around these two, or are they going to trade one?
I think that's why you brought in Doc Rivers because it was we're going to try this with Doc. If it doesn't work, then something's going to have to happen. But outside of that, I mean, you have to think with Philly, what was it? Because the talent was there, the players are there, the roster is dope. What was it? Was it the coaching? Because if it was the coaching, then Doc Rivers may be able just to be a different voice. Because sometimes that's all you need is you just need a different voice. I'm not, you know, the Clippers in that locker room might have got old. I'm tired of that voice. I'm tired of hearing what he's talking about. It ain't getting it done. We need a fresh face. In Philly, whole different ball game. Just like it might be in Clipperland if, let's say, Brett Brown interviewed for him. They may love Brett Brown because he's a different voice. It doesn't mean that he's become a better coach. It just means he's a different voice. And sometimes that's what you need. You don't necessarily need a better voice. I mean, a better coach. So I think what Philly's banking on is, again, they think, even though they weren't at the end of the title chase with none of the LA or Denver, none of them, I think Philly feels personally like they should be there. So I think they think in their mind they're a couple tweaks away. They need to get rid of Al Horford more than anything. That's the big elephant in the room for them. But I think it's more so they think, let me bring Doc in, see if a great coach, championship winning coach, can affect this locker room like maybe he couldn't do for the Clippers. Because Philly, you can tell them something. The Clippers, for the most part, you might not have been able to tell them nothing. You know, Kawhi's coming off a title. Paul George thinks he knows what's best for everything. Um, Patrick Beverly doesn't seem like he's necessarily trying to hear what you're talking about. Morris ain't really trying to hear what you're talking about. Those are having a vet locker room. It can kind of hurt you sometimes because they can sort of tune you out. And I think that's kind of what happened in LA is they sort of tuned him out. So
Right.
Philly's hoping that new voice and maybe a couple different concepts here and there can maybe help the cause. So, but more importantly than anything, I think Philly just needs to get healthy and kind of figure it out together. Of again, who's going to be their five? Who am I starting with? Who's gonna come off the bench? Who's the guys I can rely on? Because right now we just have talent. They have a dope 2K team, but a dope 2K team doesn't help you win in the real NBA. So
Right, at all.
figure that one out. But
And I
I
mean,
mean,
the only reason why I went to like Philly and the Clippers is I feel like the Raptors kind of got to figure out at this point. They just need their stars to step up, like Siakam and Kyle Lowry. Who else they got?
Anunoby, Norman Powell, like that. You're right.
Yeah, they just need them to step up.
They need to develop. Like that was more so them, and that was Toronto all along. Like that's why I thought this year they weren't going to get it done, just because at some point not having Kawhi was going to hurt. And I kind of
Right.
think at least this first year they needed Kawhi, and Kawhi needed them. So I mean, I just that's another team that it's developments and tweaks. I mean, it'll be a growing thing for most of the top eight at least. Is that these guys they just need tweaks here and there, and I mean that's usually going to be able to be enough. Sometimes you just can't do nothing with it because you still have to deal with LeBron James regardless of the fact. So
Right.
you can do whatever you want to do to your roster. If the king is still being the king and he's still in your head, you might be in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's just necessarily just figuring it out. And sometimes you just got to try something different.
And I didn't mention the Rockets or Portland because at this point I feel like both teams is they need a whole new different direction. At least it seems like the Rockets are going in that by D'Antoni and them mutually deciding to split up.
Mutually.
He decided to leave. They decided to let him go. So
My
some
air quote game is on fire, boy. I'm telling you.
in Portland, I don't know what they need. They need some a different direction too, because
I need health more than anything. Like
I guess help, but like I don't know. Is something. I feel like they missing pieces, but I couldn't tell you what they missing.
Well, most of these teams are missing the piece. It's called LeBron James. That would help you out so much. Like a lot of my flaws aren't flaws anymore because I got LeBron James on my team.
Sure.
That's just what that be like. You put Portland against most other teams that first round, the way that they're playing, they beat them.
All right.
You dealing with LeBron James, man. It ain't. I don't know what Charles Barkley was smoking before the show, but it ain't nothing I want. Just picked them to get swept, boy. Stop.
I guess I could have mentioned the Thunder too, but I mean, they're going in a new direction.
Yeah.
Since Billy Donovan left, and I guess the Clippers are just the only other team other than Philly that I feel has a question mark above their head.
I mean, a lot of these teams they bought in fully, so it's really they kind of said like the Clippers. They're in that area where all they can do is tweak because they went all in on Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. You don't have any assets to really move around and make nothing happen, so you're going to have to get better. That's why they fired Doc because they know we're going to have to get a new voice and a new face up here because roster construction wise, ain't much more we can do. But I mean, at the end of the day, they all these teams have the same challenge. You better figure it out quick because before you know it, next season starts. I'm happy about it. Front offices are probably not. So,
At all. But we're about to go on a commercial break real quick. Then when we come back, we're gonna finish up talking about the future Here on. Is it going to continue to be a bubble situation, or are we going back to stadiums? Like we're gonna talk about it. Catch y'all in a minute. And we back.
We back.
Back to talk some more NBA. Now we're gonna talk the road forward. Are we still in the bubble or are we back in stadiums? Because I mean, even though the NFL is having its own problems right now, they got fans at their stadiums. So you thinking the arena's gonna be filled?
I mean, I think it's everything's gonna be like a trial by fire kind of thing. At some point you have to get off the porch too, though. So I get safety first and being smart about it, and that's what these organizations are doing. At least with the NFL wise, they are you have to wear a mask, you have to socially distance, the way that they have the seating. Like there's things that can be changed. So I think the bubble it won't happen again because it's you have to spread out the season a lot more. I just think it's too many logistic problems that will happen with doing the bubble again.
I mean, you don't think they could shorten it? How MLB did with the 60 games, they just take it.
No, because
like 82.
Basketball, it's a different breed. Like basketball, they want 82 games just because a lot of the stuff has to happen with revenue.
Some of the players don't want 82 games.
If the players had a day where they'll play 15 freaking games, everybody will win a freaking title or a participation trophy. You know what I'm saying? Like you get everything you want pretty much anyway. Quit crying.
That's crazy.
For once in your life, just take it for what it is. We all have to figure this life thing out. And that bothers me too because a lot of these players come from poverty. You come from nothing and now you bougie.
I mean, look, a lot of them like LeBron James has been rich for like more years than probably they've been poor.
Bro, I don't care if I make $400 million today. Actually, I'm still going to the dollar store and buying me paper plates.
No, that's actually a good point. LeBron was poor for like 16, 18 years. He's now been rich for the same amount of time.
Yeah, but you still understand the struggle. I don't care how rich you get. If you forget where you come from, then what's the point? At some point you're crying for, I ran out of caviar. Like, you better put some water in that cereal, bro. Like, that's where I come from. That's where you got to, you know what I'm saying? You have to remain humble, but they don't. So forget all that crying about. Play the games that you're supposed to be playing. You already do the what's the wrestling already. You're freaking 20-something years old. A lot of these players are 20-something.
What's it called? What they call it?
I forget because I try to forget on purpose.
Yeah, I don't be paying attention to it no more.
But it's still like the NBA players are coddled so much as is already. So right. I mean, if you don't want to play 82 games, then don't play 82 games. Sit out, give up, get checked.
Hold up, relax on giving up the check.
That's what I'm saying. You want to get paid for 82 games, but you don't want to play 82 games. Make it make sense to me.
Load management. That's what it's called.
Load management.
I mean, if they just do that, then
But still, you're supposed to play.
right.
I mean, we can load manage too. Sometimes you didn't feel like doing nothing today. What did you say to me today? Oh man, I was this close to being like, I ain't coming in, I ain't doing it. But you showed up.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like you could have took a load management day, couldn't fault you. But you're here to make your money. You're here to do your job and do what you chose this path.
Right.
NBA players chose. I can see if you're working at FedEx. I can see if you're working at JCPenney call center. I can see if you were somebody's doorman or something. Then maybe no, I don't want to come to work. You're a freaking athlete that you chose to do this your entire life.
Right.
Now all of a sudden I want to not play 82 games. Man, quit crying, bro. Play them 82 games and play it in your home stadium because that's where they're going. It won't be another bubble.
There won't be another one.
No, I think the bubble was perfect for this time because you needed to have a champion.
Right.
And it was. You're asking these players who are already bougie as he is to give up months and months of their life to have a common goal of winning the title. There's no strange secret why LeBron James led team won the title. They're going to be the most mentally strong and locked in and focused team because that's their leader.
All right.
So that's only going to happen in this case. And then I feel like you take out what's fun about stuff. It's you're tied 2-2, and then you have to go on the road to win that game 5. That means a whole lot every other year. This year was different, but
they can't really fill the stadiums for it to truly mean as much as it used to.
No, but 10,000 fans is better than none. So those 10,000 fans needed, it's going to feel like a lot just because, like you watch some NFL games, you can't really tell that they're not, at capacity.
I mean, sometimes I could tell it's a laugh track or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean that, but for the most part, like if you just pay attention to the game,
right,
hear the crowd noise and all that, they root their team on, they're focused, they're there for a reason. So I think the NBA fans, it's just mainly figuring that out how to do that the right way, social distance way with the mask and all that, because they can't logically do that again. You took away teams to be able to do that, have everything at the wide world of sports. You had to play a shortened season that way. That has to be an anomaly. Just like the NFL showed you, you can't have a sustaining success by doing it that way. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But by the way, I don't know if I should mention it, but we've been canceled before. So now that LA's back, has anybody seen Bronny at all? Have you seen Bronny?
Bronny getting that eighth together. Yeah, one of them dispensaries. Getting this. And smoking choke on. I ain't mad at him.
Hey man, Jimmy did not do his job. He did not keep your dad in the bubble.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Brian
probably about to come home and try to get a little something.
I mean, the biggest thing is probably like, why you getting my stash like that? But
that's probably what happened. And these kids now, everything got to be on the Snapchat and the Twitters and the what's the Finstagram and all of that.
You're not that old that you don't know what they are.
Man, listen, bro. I was there when they were invented.
I mean, I was there too.
Man, listen, bro. You ain't had a college email though.
True.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't at this point because I'm to the belief, all jokes aside, if Bronny James thought 1 second that was gonna get him in some real trouble, then he probably would have did it. But this is the world we live in, that everything's a microscope. Even for a 15-year-old kid, there's some grown men out there, grown women out there that their one job is to look for stuff that they can talk about.
Right.
For somebody's kids. Bronny James' kids, he didn't even have the right smoker stand. What are you doing here?
Listen to the old man trying to teach.
What are you doing here, buddy? Like, this ain't
right.
If I'm LeBron James, I'm mad at that. Like, man, you would have stumped with it. You ain't even putting nothing in that thing. That was little flimsy old blunt, girl. You better chill. Bronny James, you better have the finest, the stickiest of the ickiest. What are you doing? Like, that's what I'm taking my belt off for.
The stickiest of the ickiest.
A little more in that.
You got a little a fat one, man. If it ain't fat, don't smoke it.
And you better have one for Brown when he come home.
But I got nothing else on the show notes. Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, buddy. Check out Nutty North tomorrow. Same time, same place, same channel. Obviously, I'm gonna have a lot to say because you know why. I ain't gonna get into it. We're on time constraint. But at the same time, man, keep checking us out. Like, share. I keep want to say subscribe, but there ain't nothing to subscribe to. Well, you can follow the pages. We do have the Open Gym, the Nutty North page, Scoring Their Network. There's a lot of dope stuff on there. A lot more dope stuff coming too, man. We out here in the war room, kind of seeing everything being cooked up and figured out. So I'm looking forward to it, just like anybody else. So continue to check us out. Check Rondell Sutherland out too. Don't send you no DMs because he don't answer them,
I mean,
but I do.
unless you find, send me, I might.
If you find, send him a DM. If
I'm
you find
probably
her, send me
lying, but
one. It's going down in the DM. Yeah,
But
man. Love
yeah,
each other.
almost. But yeah. Check out Score on there. Score on their network at facebook.com or scoreonthare.com. We got all our daily blogs, broadcasts, our live shows. I mean, it's not on the website right now because it wants to mess up and play with me. But normally it'll be on there. And also, if you want to do what we doing, you want to sit up here talk sports or make music, DJ, film, be a filmmaker, hit up Nakia Booker. I don't know the number, but you could Google it. And you could Google the address, which is 5330, right?
5330 East Main Street.
5330 East Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
So, come up here, do a little visit, do a little tour. You might see the Safranco studio. Maybe you see us in here. Hopefully not. Probably not. I ain't going to be sitting here, but yeah. Just come over here and do what we do.
And we out.
Yeah, we out. See y'all tomorrow. I'm not gonna be talking about the Bengals because they suck, but see y'all tomorrow. What's wrong with my